Hello, hello, hello. Happy potential start to World War III. How's everyone doing today on a fine Tuesday morning in the fall? Good morning, Jacob. Good morning, Patrick. Sterling putting the earnings in. Good morning. Walmart did beat, but I'm telling you, first off, would not be paying 46 times PE on Walmart. It's been a strong trend, so I'd be trailing now, but just take a look at the earnings this quarter with the beat compared to last quarter. Take a look at the revenue was a slightly higher, but not much. It's these aren't strong beats. It's the problem is the earnings are so dumbed down that when you beat them, hey, we beat. But you know, it wasn't it's like setting the bar so low, yeah, you can step over it. You don't even have to jump over it. So Lowe's was also beat, but again, compare that one to last. I think the revenue was actually lower. I have to double check that. Yeah, there we go. As Biden empowered Zelensky to send the first Slavs into Russia, and will be beginning of World War III. Already, yeah, reports are that one of our long range missiles hit us depot, an arms depot, 75 miles into Russia. Here we go. By the way, and what you're not hearing is, I don't know if some people spotted it, but China's starting to cut telecom and other and gas cables and lines around Taiwan and around the sea out there. So could that be heating up? Could they be heating up? Remember, they're suffering and their stimulus has not worked. What's the best way? And I'm not advocating for this because I cannot, and I'm fully for peace. Do not like war, but what's the best way for a country to generally deal with a situation like they're in is go to war against something. And that would be Taiwan. And if you don't think we'd be sucked in, well, guess what? So that's the good news this morning. Yes, welcome back, Sterling. Jacob, hello, good morning. Sellers, good morning, Ted. Good morning, Anissa. Hello, McRangers. Good morning, Royal Palms. Yeah, I don't want World War III. We have enough problems to deal with. Can we just not throw in World War III? Potential start to a war? Well, I think I covered that. Yeah, when you're taking our missiles specifically made in the good old US of A and authorizing Zelensky, and then Zelensky's lobbing him into Russia, that's not generally things in the right direction. Yeah, but one hit the military base, but it doesn't matter. He's launching them. Hello, MJ. You think Putin's going to take that sitting down? I don't. I don't. On other good news, building permits back down. Yay. Because you know they say there's a shortage in housing. Yet the builders are winding down projects, and I'm looking at tons of stuff out here, and they're really winding down projects, and they're starting to slash their prices and not start new developments. So we technically have a housing shortage, but the stuff isn't selling now because it's too expensive, and they're just not starting projects. Good morning, Richard. So we had housing starts, building permits, both down. Red Book came out at 5.1%, so Redbook's still holding in there, but today is very quiet. Today is just super quiet. Who knew Biden would start World War III before he left office? Well, I don't think he should have remained in. I mean, if he wasn't fit to run and he's got all these issues with thought process, shouldn't he have been removed? I mean, I don't want somebody who's not cognitively with it doing stuff like this. But I don't think he's running stuff anyways. It's all going to be dependent on NVIDIA. Medtronic beat. Sterling's got a work call now, so Sterling will go quiet. Well, thank you for being on here, Sterling. Remember, tomorrow's also pretty quiet and things pick up on Thursday, but tomorrow we have NVIDIA earnings. So far, you have Walmart up. Again, do not, please, I can't give trading advice or investing advice, but I'd be real cautious at not owning if you already owned Walmart and knowing where a trailing stop would be, but going into Walmart at 46 times earnings is, I mean, Walmart's not like a growth stock. What else do we have? We've all mega caps negative today. Nvidia, I guess people are front running it ahead of earnings. Groups, let's see. Let's just refresh it. The only thing up today is consumer defensive, and that is dropping. Everything else is down. Cyclical, comm services, financial, energy, all down. Fed watch going in. Remember, we have still 29 days, so roughly a full month. For the meeting is on the 18th of December, so exactly 1 week before Christmas. The Wednesday before Christmas is on a Wednesday. Who else does not like Christmas? I don't really like any major holiday on a Wednesday. Okay? Because let's say you take off Christmas Day, you have Christmas Day off, and you have, let's even say you take Christmas Eve off. I don't care whether you celebrate or not. No, what? Who doesn't? Who's gonna? Nobody's working on Christmas. I don't care what religion you are, unless you're like at emergency pharmacy or something. Uh, but so you still got to work Monday. Possibly you're working Tuesday or you have a shortened day. You get Wednesday off, and then you're back for Thursday, Friday. You don't even get to turn it into a 3-day weekend. Oh, we should just make Wednesday holidays illegal. Get rid of daylight savings time or get rid of the time change. I don't care which one you choose, and make Wednesday holidays illegal. That's my and get rid of most things the government does except make Wednesday holidays illegal. That is my thoughts. That's the platform I would be running on. Any thoughts on Apple 4-hour daily double bottom? I think it's confirmed triggered on the 4-hour, but only we'll take a look. Well, again, you want to talk about setting the bar low? I don't think he's more cognitively with it than Kamal. I think she's just a bit of completely unqualified, but I don't. You know what? I can't. I can go with him. He was smarter, but he's severely. I think he's severely cognitively impaired. You hate. Agree. All right, MJ, you're on my team with the hating the Wednesday holiday. You got my vote. Oh boy. So what else we have? Fear and greed is still in neutral mode. We're not even back to fear mode. Schiller PE still 37.59. So let's see. We already talked about Walmart and Lowe's, and Sterling put some other like Medtronic and Xpeng in there. Xpeng I think delivered 1.2 million cars. Oh, Jay Powell's after the close. We got Powell. We got Jay Powell after the close, but nothing. Unless Lazy Boy is going to rock the market with some massive recliner sales. Is that considered a luxury item? I don't know. Tomorrow we have Target and TJ Maxx, but the big thing is Nvidia, as we already talked about after the close. Let's take a look at some of these. Here's your lows. Now let's take a look at this. So last in July, they reported 23.5 in revenue. Now look at this. Revenue was 20.17. So they missed last quarter. And it went way up. But this quarter, they didn't even look at the revenue differential. That's insane. See, that's what I'm talking about with these dumbed down earnings. Now, Walmart did beat, but look at this. The revenue was 169.335. Now it's 169.6. That's not a massive upswing from the last thing. But look at this, and it's still going up higher at, what do we have here? 43, 40, sorry, I said 46. Pre-E is 43, almost 44. No, thank you. This is not a chart that is going to be a long term. It's either going to go into consolidation or we're going to at some point get a decent pullback. Now, the S&P. What I was going to say, we had that little mini 1 hour double that ran up, hit the first target, and then with missiles flying, got knocked out. Then we have the single pausing bar. We had a nice little sell off, a single pausing bar. I was keying off of today's lows, and we took those out a little bit ago. So watching to see where we close here right now. We're still in this 50 to 62 and a half going into NVIDIA earnings tomorrow. It's going to depend on NVIDIA saving the market in the short term, because if NVIDIA doesn't impress, this could be a bon voyage. We're coming into a very key trend line, a very key trend line area, and the 50 EMA and the 62 and a half harmonic. So we're in a very key support area with daily cycles at the bottom and weeklies have gone flat. We might see another rollover in the weekly, and then that would trump the daily. Going to keep an eye on that. So today, really paying attention to the key resistance area of about 58.84 to 58.87 on any bounce. And I'll be watching if it does bounce more to 4 hour rotation zone, because that's what held it yesterday. It's turned into a flagging double. Some of those doubles do turn into flagging doubles. Although the doubles, like in the NASDAQ, this was not a double because it didn't reach down to the 75. So when I see things that flag and don't hit that double, that's more likely to roll over than the ones that do, but both of them rolled over. Now, what's interesting enough is the NASDAQ only moved slightly below the base from last Friday, but bounced up. I think it's with that. It's people's trying to front run NVIDIA is going to put a little bit in the NASDAQ. But my key area for the NASDAQ is really paying attention to about 20,585 on any rally. The key support area is about this 20,430 to 20,400. Okay, we don't have much going on today. Now, also the NASDAQ coming down to the area of the 50. And watch today, 20,474. If we close below it, we've tipped the probabilities. Where else? Hey, good morning, Dark Screen Sleep. Missiles fly. It's time to buy. Not in this market. Not in this market. Oh boy, there's lots of stuff in here. Hold on. Well, it depends short or long or more medium term on that question. What does NVIDIA results need to look like to save the market? I think any beat is, if they beat and give strong forward guidance, I think it could put a short-term pop in the market. If it's a very weak beat and not good guidance, I don't think it'll. You still might get a little pop, but I think you get the rollover play then. But these markets are really weakening going into earnings. I mean, the NASDAQ still, with its pop yesterday, could not get above prior support, becoming resistance. Today tried to run up there and turn back down. So the NASDAQ's really got to gain this 20,750 area. The S&P, by the way, yesterday closing pretty much at the key support zone, and today breaking down. And remember, it's still in neutral mode. In order for this now to get in anything bullish mode for me, I need 5,979, especially with that double crapping out. The Dow trying to hold support yesterday, and now this morning just giving it all up. And looks like the Dow's going into neutral mode also. So this means there's going to have to be some pretty decent price action in the short term to get anything back to bullish mode. This is what I was worried about. I was worried that all this year-end stuff was going to crap out early. We'll have to see if that does happen. The market's been Price for beyond perfection. We've talked about that for a long time. So it's 44K. The Dow roughly has to regain 44K. The Russell now, look at this. The Russell pausing at key support and now breaking down. The Russell's going to be interesting to see where it closes below 22.95. 22.95. Close below that, shifts the probabilities lower. The DAX rolling over, and now the DAX, by the way, we have the harmonics, so these are intermediate targets. You got about 18,780, and then you have about 18,690, 18,700, but I'm really watching for the DAX to reconnect in the area of the 200 over the next few weeks. So this is going to be the at least my magnet area for the DAX. Key resistance is now about 19,000, 19,040. The notes rallying a bit based off of market sell-off and a flight. This is actually a little flight to safety, so the yield's pulling back a bit. But we could see, remember, cycles are coming off the top, heading back down on the daily, and now rolling over on the weekly. So it's going to be interesting to see if this turns into a sideways correction or if it can actually get a pullback correction. The key support is still this 4.3 in the yields. Dollar index, remember where you got cycles headed down out of overbought condition back to the rotation zone. So it's going to be interesting, this 105.60 area. If that breaks, we could consider to see a pullback to 105 area. But remember, weekly is also rolling over, and look how overextended it is from the weekly rotation zone. But that 105 is going to be key on a continued pullback. Crude, big outside reversal bar, technically a percent B buy, but we're nothing that I was looking at really. I was just pointing that out because it's technically a percent B buy. With cycle still climbing. There's just not a lot of great setups besides unless you're applying key support resistance, you know, with the crude. You had a little minor bottoming pattern here. And now you have a little topping pattern that went to completion, and now it's sitting back in its high range. So it's really just range chart rating right now. You're welcome, Andrea. You enjoy the rest of your day, too. What do you think about Buffett's moves into cash or cash equivalents? I think it's really smart. There's not a lot of great value right now. There's not a lot of even good value right now. You're all relying on the dividend yield is near record lows. Okay, so any investment you're making into the markets, you're pretty much, and I'm not, there's, again, we talked about something like, still going to call it Philip Morris, MO. I know it's not that. I'm still going to call it that. Like, all right, you got a decent dividend there. So that something like that can be played because you can get dividend yield with capital gains. But, you know, back to this. Back to your Walmart. All right. Dividend yield. Can you see it? Is that slightly? Relied completely on the price appreciation, which is now severely overbought. Look at the weekly chart. Look at the monthly chart, by the way. Monthly chart. Do I want to be rushing into Walmart at this point with a dividend yield of 1%, trading close to 44 times earnings? No. So it's all price appreciation. But this is not something I want. This is a lot of the market. Everybody's counting on price appreciation rather than dividend yield, and everything's priced for beyond perfection. If you get a pullback in price, think about that. You're getting 1% dividend, paying 43 times earnings. Let's say this returns to something like 20 times earnings. You're going to be underwater, even with that dividend yield, for a very long time. You're going to have to dig out of a big friggin' hole. And this is true with a lot of the market now. So I'm using that as an example. Oh, well, that's great, Charles. So, what else? Let me just look at a couple other things real quick. Gold. I'm watching still for the next rollover playing gold. Unless gold can follow through with this move and get above 2,700 again, I'm watching for the next rollover play. Technically 2,704. It's against very key resistance. So let me just bump this up a little. The last little candle body breakdown zone. Okay, strong day yesterday, which makes sense with cycles going up out of very oversold condition. But, you know, you got a lot of overhead resistance coming in now. Gold is some heavy lifting. Gold was very, very overdone, and now it's at the bottom of the weekly rotation zone. Look at the monthlies. Look at the monthly. To return and just reset a monthly rotation zone or get into consolidation, the monthly has to catch up or gold has to pull back more. And very key support is 2,500. That's what I'm really focused on, this 2,500 area for gold. That's what I'm focused on personally, to see how it reacts if we get a rollover down there. Yen strengthening a bit, but still in the rotation zone. I'm going to be watching the cycles get closer to the bottom to see. This is running out of momentum, so we could see a bigger consolidation. Also, we've still got cycles headed up on the monthly, but the weekly is starting to roll over. So definitely we could see a consolidation, but I'm going to be watching this 152 level on any bigger pullback. Your key areas for the spiders is watch Friday's lows right at that 50% harmonic, this 583.90 to 584 area. If that breaks, with the pausing bar yesterday, we can use the harmonics. And look how nicely that lines up. So intermediate target between the 50 and the 62.5 would be 581.80 area. And then you have the harmonic cluster at that 62.5 with the forward projection. And that's really the kiss it goodbye level. Yeah, you might see some support at that 50, but I just watch for a minor bounce in if we close below that 62.5. We're not there yet, but that's exactly what I'll be looking at. On any rally, yesterday's open, 586.22 would be my first key resistance point, and then you have your gap fill of 588.15. The Qs, we can do the same thing here with yesterday being a pausing bar. Look at this. If we do take out eventually, not just for today, but if we do take out Friday's lows, you got 491.85 right at the 50 EMA. And then you got 489. Now, would not be focusing on those levels unless we close below this 495.69 level. Other than that, watch yesterday's open price. Let's AAP, not AAPL. Look at Advanced Auto Parts. Remember, they had horrible earnings, closing stores. The only thing, again, this is just an ugly, ugly chart. In the short term, the only thing that would put me in bullish mode would be a trigger of this little minor double bottom, which I would be shocked if it triggered before being invalidated. Other than that, this has to make a longer term consolidation pattern. Why would I be interested in that? If for some reason something happened and it got above there, but also getting above the rotation zone on the weekly, and then I'd watch for the bigger pop. But other than that, I'd be personally waiting for a much larger consolidation pattern to come in with Advanced Auto Parts. And you could still see a retest. Easily we could see a retest of the October 8 lows. Okay. So this would not be something I'd actually be watching for rollover plays still. If any set up, but I don't see one right now. Could we use the unbalanced right side lower cup and handle targets on the monthly for coin? On the monthly? honestly, on this one, Sterling, I'd still just use this 370, 380 as if you're gonna try to keep playing this to the upside with crypto. The 380 target. That's what I'd look at. I wouldn't make it more complex than that. Other than that, if you're trailing and anything happens in this, I'd pay attention to that. I did see this earlier. I was not looking at the longer term charts, but this is still a valid double top. So that's from a trailing perspective, this 274.30 area would be very key. Okay, so that's from, because that would also break down below support and could take it back into the big consolidation area. What's this one? Hold on, I gotta see. 70% of TV ads are paid for by big pharma. Pfizer spent 2.8 billion on ads last year. Your favorite channel has been bought. Your favorite shows have been bought. Your favorite hosts have been bought. I said something. You know, I think you saw that with my back and forth with Bob and Jim on still gonna call it Twitter. You know, I think advertise. Fine. If it's over the counter, something available, you can advertise to consumers. If it requires a prescription, no, you're not advertising consumers. It's completely a joke because then doctors are paid to prescribe more of certain drugs. And a lot of doctors, if you just ask them and they go, oh, yeah, you have symptoms like that, here, let me give you that drug. Our medical system is trash. Trash. It has been in my, I don't know if you do follow me on Twitter. I don't post often, but when I do, or I respond to things, no, I don't think there should be big ads for pharma. Again, if you're advertising, you know, over the counter cold medicine, fine. It's over the counter. I can go to the pharmacy. I have a cold. I have the flu. I can go buy something. If I need a prescription for it, no. No, no. Yeah, I'll look at MJ. I'll look at Apple. Also, you know, you have the unconscious bias where you keep advertising stuff, especially with symptoms and everything else. It gets into people's psyches. It can actually program them to think they have the disease and start manifesting symptoms with the disease. We don't have healthcare, we have sick care, and it's all based off pharmacies selling, pharmaceuticals selling more drugs, not trying to get people healthy. And these drugs aren't like, oh, you like let's go with an antibiotic, okay? And I think they're overprescribed a lot of times. But what's the point of an antibiotic? You're not going to be on it for life. You're going to get on it to get rid of something. Let's say you have like a sinus infection or, you know, something that you had a flu or cold that turned into a sinus infection or something that an antibiotic needs to treat. You could be on it for 10 days to get rid of that. You're not on it for the rest of your life. I'm tired of all these drugs. They just want you on them the rest of your life. It's not to say, oh, I need this drug for 2 weeks or a month and then I'm off of it. No, you need your quarterly dose. You need your weekly injection. You need this for the rest of your life. What was the question on? Look at this. A peek at Apple 4-hour daily double bottom. This, you had this that already played out. This did not turn into this you cannot treat as a daily double bottom. You already had a double. It's way too, let's look at the daily. This, no, don't treat this as a double. Do not treat this as a double. This, if anything, if you want to do anything, just watch this. Well, if I could draw it correctly. Shit. There we go. Pay attention to this. It's just flagging, watching for the next rollover play at Apple 2. Make America healthy again. Well, that's a platform I really think we need to tackle. We need to get rid of all these food additives, And that's one thing I do agree with the I very rarely agree with anything in the EU, but I do agree with, like, look at a lot of our products can't be sold in Europe without reformulations. And then you look at the label in Europe, if they're selling the same product versus ours is like 100 list of ingredients. Theirs has 10. And it's not all these red dye 42s and green, purple things that are going to destroy your intestines and give you colon cancer. We're not going to touch your prostate drug, Richard, although a lot of stuff with prostate can also be done naturally. Yeah, what are the countries that allow direct marketing for pharma? Who are they? Yep. And our hospital, how can you have more administrators than you have actual doctors in hospitals now? How does that work? I mean, it's ridiculous. All right. Speaking, since we looked at Coinbase, Bitcoin looking pretty toppy up here, but still's got that 99,000 magnet price. Key support coming back at about 84. Look at XLV. Yeah, XLV. The health that is not a healthy chart. What could be interesting with this, if it does get a bounce down here, if this gets a bounce, this could be setting up for a major topping pattern. Major. Keep an eye on that. It could be a major head and shoulder top. I think this will reconnect easily at some point at 134. So I'd be watching for any kind of rollover plays in here. Bounces, any bounces rotate to the rotation zone area, I'd be watching for rollover plays. Yeah, he did not look happy about eating McDonald's. A famous UK chef, Jamie Oliver, ruined my high school meals with healthy eating. Oh, our big problem with higher education systems rooted in numbers of administrators compared to professors as well. Yep. Yep. And there's some hospitals that's literally 65 to 70% of the staff are administrators. What do you, we have too many rules. We need some key rules in key areas. Other than that, you got to get rid of them. That's it. Have you noticed where we actually need some rules? We don't have any. And where we actually don't need rules, we have an overabundance of them. So that's about it today. Let's just peek at the open. Let's just peek at the open, trying to snap back. Trying to snap back some buying pressure into the open. But again, I'm watching the 4-hour rotation zone. The market's already shrugged off missiles flying. Already shrugged off missiles flying. It's buy everything. Pretty weak ticket. That's a very weak tick. Minus 1,200. And the market was just bought right off the bat. So we're still, we could still be very choppy through NVIDIA earnings tomorrow. So I would be, don't be in stupid mode. Because remember, NVIDIA is 20% of the weighted market cap right now. 20%. So that one thing can move the whole gosh darn market. You're welcome, Charles. You got to run for office. Oh, I can't. It was a weak tick. All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Again, we may stay somewhat choppier until there's very little coming out today. Very little coming out today on the economic calendar. There's no speeches, there's nothing. So unless there's headlines that roll across, a lot of stuff, and there's nothing tomorrow morning. So a lot of stuff's going to be about NVIDIA positioning, and look at and NVIDIA. That's technically what above yesterday's high was a percent beat buy if it falls through at the close. All right. So, but it's all going to depend on this. That's where we sit right now. I'll talk to everyone tomorrow. Bye for now.